You're listening to The People's Pitch, the official podcast of Minneapolis City Soccer Club, brought to you by Football Stadium Prince. Let's start the show.
And as I talked about just a couple minutes ago, as Joe Watt stands over this one, he appears to be the one taking the penalty here. This is a huge confidence booster if you're Duluth.
Worst case scenario for City right here.
And it stopped!
Yes!
And it stopped!
Totally redeems himself.
Matt Elder redeeming himself. Oliver with the right foot. The shot is goal!
Oliver!
Justin Oliver will break the scoreless tie. And it is 1-0 Minneapolis City. It's Hutton now on the offense with the left foot. It is now 2-0 Minneapolis City.
Good finish.
Nick Hutton taking his quick victory lap.
Get ready to chow down because a hot plate of soccer is on the menu tonight. It is The People's Pitch, the official podcast of Minneapolis City Soccer Club. I am your host, Nate, as always, joined by my co-host, John Bisworm. And tonight, we're talking milestones. We got some milestones to talk about. And somehow we are already talking playoff soccer, but not for the team that we expected. Right, John?
Yeah, I mean, not for the teams we expected, to be honest with you, but that's okay. That's what happens in the club soccer world when you ride a heater for a while. You know, you run out of kindling, and you can't get that log started again until you find the kindling. So the kindling is what was lit for us. So yeah, we'll talk about that, but mainly we're going to cover the NPSL 200 career goals for the club, and that goal was scored this week in the NPSL. In the win against Aris. We'll also preview the first place Med City Naughty Nurses are coming to town. And then we'll talk about USL 2, a brief Menace recap. And then Canada, we're traveling north. The first time the club's ever going to a foreign country. And then all things UPSL to wrap up the regular season. And that's where we're going to start talking about playoffs, Nate.
Playoffs. You'll love to hear it. All right. Well, there's so many soccer goodies to cover, so let's start stuffing our faces full of it. First off, John, the NPSL team got served a cure for the hangover that they had from their midweek loss to Twin Stars when Lacrosse Aris came to town.
Everyone's favorite hangover cure.
Yeah, exactly. Kyle has a full recap that he printed that I think is on the website. But this game, John, was just what the team needed to regain some confidence and to continue to gel as a unit. Ahead of this game last week, we had kind of talked about the need for the club to perhaps just stick with one roster. Just say, like, this is your NPSL roster, this is your USL 2 roster, and you guys gotta figure it out. No less mixing and matching, less whoever is available. And I think that's gonna continue to happen as we do things like take a super long road trip to Canada, right? And there's less intermixing of the two teams. But I think this was an important game to continue for the NPSL squad to continue to figure out like how everyone works together. And they work pretty well. Contrary to how things have been going lately, John, City jumped out to an early lead and really never looked back. It's Aris. Why would you? The 5 goals in the first half, they included the 200th scored in City history, seemed like only the beginning, which was funny because I remember before the game, you and I were thinking like, the way things have been going, man, we're not going to hit 5 tonight. But there we go. You covered it on the stream, and he was your player to watch. But I would say the addition of Jacek Nikowski back into the squad, back from traveling abroad in Poland, which is not the place that I would go. In the world, but I guess he's got family there. But Jacek coming back felt like just the thing that this particular mix of guys needed. I mean, he's got the creativity to play well with like Aiden Kavanaugh, who is also incredibly creative on the ball, and you could see he had his way with that Aris team on a couple occasions. But Jacek also has that speed and the ability to make runs that create space for like a striker like Cole, who needs that.
Yeah, I think, well, let's start first with Aris not showing up until like 35 minutes before the game started
that was, we were rightfully concerned that we would get a last minute forfeit out of them.
Yeah, they did show up, but like we talked about how in the beginning of the season, they brought in some new players, they leveled up, and they were doing well. They took apart Joy Athletic on Joy Athletics ground in St. Louis Park, which is I mean, that's just something that like you don't see often, right? Like you might see someone travel to wherever the heck lacrosse is playing on that given week, and run into like we ran into in our undefeated season where that was our only tie.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's that. But the team didn't show up with the coach, and some of the firepower you saw start the season wasn't there, and it was a little disappointing because I thought that there was actually some really bright pieces out there. I don't know what your take is on that, but I thought that they definitely they had some good puzzle pieces, and if you look at what they tried to do in the beginning, the organizational pitfalls are starting to leak through, and then guys don't want to play, and that stinks. So that's the first thing I'm talking about. But to go back to your point, I mean, Yasik was our player to watch for all the reasons that you just said. He's active. He's active across the front three. He can finish. He just adds something that we didn't see for a little while with the kind of revolving door of wingers that we were throwing out there. And what it was doing was him being high as an option was taking away defenders for Cole Schwartz to check back. And how many times did Cole do the dirty work and hold up play? Where he found that pocket of space, and then he was delivering the ball the way he was facing to Aiden Kavanaugh, and Aiden was spraying those passes into to Sydney, to Yasik, and we were getting our chances created that way. Even the outside backs were getting forward too. So I think that it is starting to come together. Aiden, you're right. Aiden, and we talked about it too on the stream, and we talked about it last week. Really a bright spot right now, kind of coming into his own with the club. And I think that like the only thing that you saw that was maybe a negative in that match with him was he was making the right passes, but they were a little overcooked or a little undercooked. And I think that he's at least attempting those passes, and he was doing it in volume, scored a nice goal. He also was able to get a couple assists on the day as well. So if he continues this run, it's going to be a really good bright spot in that midfield that was also a revolving door for a little while.
Yeah. So all this equated to goals for all three of them, Yasik, Aiden, and Cole, plus Sydney Toom and Abai. But Aris, John, they made some halftime adjustments, and just like we were before the game, we were like, probably won't get 5. At halftime, we were like, we're going to hang 10 on these guys the way that they're playing right now. But 5 was all we got.
Yeah, I thought their goalkeeper played really well in the second half, I thought. And also, we joked on the stream about I forget what his first name is, but never forget his last name, Verdonk. That guy who came in the middle was like 9 feet tall.
Oh yeah, that helps.
And he came in, and then we made the counter adjustments to move Samuel into the middle, and then Jorge. So 2 very active forward-minded players, and this poor mountain of a man had to chase these guys around and ended up like going down twice with like cramps and like soft muscle tissue injuries. I felt bad for the guy because he comes in, and then it's just like he was playing against a tired 3 in the middle, and then we subbed, and it was like, oh damn it moment for that guy, and he chased him around. But I thought like Jorge hasn't featured much lately. I don't know why, but he was featured out wide. I thought he did really good in the middle. He was very active. He moved around, tried to find the ball, tried to combine. Some of the ideas didn't work, but at least he was attempting the ideas. And what to get out of Samuel. I also thought that we have to mention too that Abai's goal was the 200th goal in the club's history. And in his interview after the game, we're like, did you know that was the thing? And he's like, I had no idea. But I'm really happy to be in club history, and he'll never not be in club history. That's a big one.
Yeah, that's amazing. I was gonna say it was nice to see the team maybe take their frustration out on the old NPSL North punching bag, but we got to hope that this chemistry continues to build, and that these guys can, like you said, tighten up some of the things that they were really starting to get right. turn good ideas into good results. So, Aris is a great game to kind of learn from. And now we just got to take it to, unfortunately, a much tougher opponent next week. But before that, John, who were your standout performers and any additional thoughts on the game? Or did you just say that and that was...
I didn't, but it's pretty easy. The front.
You kind of, we've been kind of talking about them, but yeah.
Yeah. The front three of Toom, Schwartz, and Nikowski, I thought was great. Active. I already talked about what Cole did. They all got on the score sheet, which is always good to see. Aiden Kavanaugh, what he did throughout the entire game until he got a breather, and then Mr. 200, a bye. I mean, how do you not give that to him? And I actually thought that his goal wasn't even that spectacular of a finish, but his first touch and the soul roll past the defender to set up his shot was the best part about it. It wasn't even the goal, but I had picked Jacek to score the 200th goal before the game, and of course, I didn't even think about someone from the midfield. Like after Aiden Kavanaugh hit that belter in the beginning of the game, I was like, Aiden might do it. I mean, he had quite a few shots, but nope, it was Mr. Abai Habat, Hamlin's own Abai Habat. So congrats to him, and like I said, it'll be in history forever.
Yeah.
Nothing else to add, Nate, other than and it was a terrible mix-up between our goalkeeper and our back line, and I think those are the things that we can't have.
Yeah, for sure. Because next up is a team that will take advantage of that, and they are a team that, I'll say it, they are a surprise top team in the division. It is Med City coming to town, and they are hoping to dissect this City defense once again. It's only been a short amount of time, John, but what has been done, or what can City do to turn the results in their favor at home this time?
Well, let's talk about Med City first. I don't think this is really a different Med City than we've seen in the past with that club talent-wise. They brought in another good core of people. They brought back some really strong players. There's definitely some names that we were used to seeing that are missing. So I don't think they're doing anything special. They're just performing better. But they've been here before, and they've fallen apart in the back half of the season. We saw it in 2019. They came out hot. They started to falter. They finished strong, and then we end up beating them in the playoffs in the first ever prep week, I guess you can call it.
Yeah, Benilde.
At Benilde. So we've seen that happen multiple years. I think the number one thing for me is that their collapse in 2021 last season, they were ranked 5th in the country when they came in to play us. And that was that game where we probably had 90% of the possession and basically we're in third gear the whole that hot ass day at Edor Nelson. And then we went up to Rochester and beat them there. Which is always Rochester is a really tough place to win at. We've done well there, but I think that they fell apart in 2021 because they didn't have the depth. I think that they added depth this year, so maybe it's a little bit different. I also think that the last match, the one up in Rochester, it was not mistake-free soccer from Minneapolis City. There was a number of just like holes dug that we could not get out of, and we scored first, which was Louis got on the score sheet first, and then we just we gave up an own goal, some mistakes at the back, then those just started to kind of compound on top of each other. Everyone's kind of jawing at each other to get their shit together, and we just couldn't get it going. So I don't think that was a scenario where they, even though they're top of the table, I'll give them that. But
yeah,
it wasn't anything that I saw in that game. Well, that I could see. The stream was fucking awful. But there wasn't anything that told me like they're not beatable. And I think that we're coming off of a good opportunity, with the Hangover game, the Hangover Cure game. But they do sit atop the table. We've shown what we can do against the league leaders. We did to Duluth when they came into town, and hopefully we can do that again this coming weekend.
Yeah, for sure, John. Now, as far as the USL2 side,
wait, real quick. 6 o'clock, Edor Nelson Field.
Yeah, let's get those deets out there. Yeah, Saturday we've got a double header, and this is the second part of that. So yeah, that kickoff is 6 p.m. at Edor. We will have a full stream. We will have a meat raffle. It's going to be a great time.
Yeah, dude, everyone loves a good meat raffle. All right, now you you have the open floor to talk about the USL 2 squad.
Yes, and I realize I'm stepping on your line, so you go ahead.
I mean, hey, man, we have a fluid relationship. We're very open with our relationship. So go ahead. No, I got it. So as for the USL 2 side of the as far as the USL 2 team this week, this last week, the Murder made a Saturday trip to the come and go franchise fueled Des Moines Menace, which did not go the Crows' way, as we are still winless in Iowa and in the USL as a competition. Did you get a chance to watch it at all?
You know what? I didn't. I wanted to catch the game after I got home because it started halfway through that Aris game, and you had kind of teased. You said, "Have you heard anything? Have you heard about the first half? Whatever." And I didn't. So I was like, I was going to go home and check it out because it sounded intriguing. But then the score got spoiled for me by the time I got home, so I foolishly wrote it off as a loss.
Stay off that social.
I know. I wrote it off as a loss not worth viewing. So that's my bad.
I think it is worth viewing.
Yeah, foolish of me.
This one for you fool. This one for me, Nate, was a tale of what I like to call a negative 8 minutes masking a good performance, and versus the league best. So what I mean is, after a stellar first half, I think for both teams, this game looked like it was going to be going to have everything that the U.S. Open Cup game had, like back and forth action, chances for both sides, like nothing dirty, just hard play. And that's what we saw for the first 40 minutes of this game. And just before the half, in the 42nd minute, it was kind of where that the first few of that 8 minutes I was talking about started to for the Crows started to happen when their danger man Nando Garcia, who I think is an extremely talented striker. Like they have, I think, 4 really good attacking players, but I think Nando Garcia is one of their best. That guy's very good. And a quick anecdote on Garcia. So in our broadcast in the beginning of the season, the first one of the year, against them at home, in the broadcast after that red card, I talked about how, unfortunately for Garcia and for the Menace, they removed him because the goalkeeper got red carded. And I was talking about how spectacular he was playing and everything like that. And then I get the old Instagram notification that I'm being followed by Nando Garcia. And then on his feed, he had clipped out me just saying like how great he is.
Hopefully he listens to the pod because he just got another good soundbite for himself.
Yeah. Feel free to continue. Just give us credits, Nando, please. Like a little bit of sourcing of your material would be great. But anyways, he found the net. It was a result of, I think, the City Field not closing down deep in the Menace zone. That long ball gets knocked. Garcia found space. It kind of, the back line once again dealing with a long direct ball. We talked about how we're getting beaten with those long direct balls when it's 2v2, 3v3, and the second ball is kind of the issue. So kind of it happened again, Nate, and he was able to best the center back pairing of Hughes and Garcia and put a well placed shot past Martin Sanchez. Then almost immediately the same script happened again. We didn't press the deep lying midfielder, hits a ball. Crows go from being in the game only down 1 to further back in the game 2-0 into the half. And we've seen this all too often this year, Nate.
Yeah, I think after a promising start, this sounds a lot like, I don't know, it happened at St. Croix a couple times. It's happened in almost every one of our USL 2 games where we switch off defensively, and that error is pounced on in this league every time. Almost, it feels like you just can't let up. So
because the quality's there.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, once they found that hole, the team didn't adjust. So why wouldn't they go right back and see if it'll work again?
Yeah, I mean, dude, it was almost immediately. It was kind of deflating. But by that time, I was already picking out which mini growlers I was going to take home from UPSL. So at least I had that going for me. But the Crows did come out with some fire in the second half. Clearly disappointed the way the first half ended, with quite a few chances created. Then we shut off again for a spell of about 2 more of that 8 minutes, and Elliot Goldthorpe, one of their other great attacking players, slotted home the game's third goal on a great solo effort. And in most instances, this is where a team can go one of two ways, Nate. You throw up your hands, you quietly go and you get back on the bus and you get the hell out of there, or you fight back. And the Crows chose fight, which Crows do. Crows are angry. They fight. Which is great to see. Then 64th minute, our club danger man, Loic Masanvi, gets on the end of a well-placed Lionel Vang free kick. And the boys got a little ray of hope. And from that moment, I saw really a worried Menace a little bit, like, because there were the tide had turned. There were some waves of attack that Minneapolis City was starting to connect on, committing players forward. And there was no fruit on that tree, though, for the away side, and the Menace were able to put this one to bed, scoring a 4th goal, and that was where the total of the 8-minute letdown was. And it was just like those quick 2-minute instances on all 4 of their goals where we just disconnect mentally, and we like I was saying, we don't step up and deny that long ball from happening, and then we're caught with equal numbers where we should have an advantage in the first place to eat up those long balls, and we don't. So we can see what a side like any of these teams in the USL2, St. Croix included, can do to you when you're not tuned in for 90 minutes. And that's part of enjoy being in this competition, is because it's going to require us to play total soccer. And there's no taking breaks where you're playing against, some of the teams that we faced in the not too recent history here, where you can kind of shut off for a little bit. And then, maybe you leak one and you're like, well, we've already scored 4, or we've already scored 5. It's okay to leak one, or we were up 3-0. It's fine. They're good on them for scoring, but it's not going to be dangerous. We're not going to be taxed. So I like this part, but I really want to win a game, dude. It'd be great. It'd be really great to get a victory. And I think we have some winnable games coming up in the remainder of the season. But I just want to see. I want to leave a stadium with 3 points for this team, because they're not playing bad soccer. It's just the results aren't going our way, and that's what happens sometimes. But come on, guys, let's get 1. Let's start with 1.
Let's do it. On the other hand, John, you can also see that this kid Loic continues to sniff out goals no matter the situation. Like you talk about someone that is grittier, that'll fight for the full 90 or whatever, and I guess all the cliches apply to this kid, right? He's not just going to score goals in easy games. He's not just going to
he does score goals in easy games, but he scores 4 of them.
Yeah, right. And that's the thing, right? It's not like there's one narrative to attach to him outside of he just scores goals in every game.
And for me, he's our standout performer on this one. And he's been our standout performer pretty much all season, consistently across all levels of competition. But I'll just say this. At a very young age, you can see it's there for him. Like, we just hope that he continues his rise. And, we're just one of the stops along the way for him in a very fantastic career. But he has that thing, Nate, where if you go to soccer at any level, and mostly at the higher levels, and that one guy gets the ball and everyone kind of gets on the edge of their seat a little bit, we kind of haven't had that in our club. We've had some really great players, but when the Loic gets the ball with space within 30 yards of the goal, I'm getting excited, because I think I know what's going to happen.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And and he's only 18, and we have a luxury of having him, because he's pulled our club out of the fire quite a few times this season, and super great to have given him this platform, because that's the whole point, right? Is to lean on local guys, win, lose, or draw, and raise our profile for not only Minnesota soccer but them. And he has taken his platform and he is running with it.
Yeah, I absolutely agreed. And hopefully he'll run with it all the way to the border, the Canadian border, because Minneapolis City is making their first international trip in club history, all the way up to Canada for a dual road trip, I guess. It's nice to knock them both out in one trip. Against Thunder Bay and FC Manitoba. And John, you and I had been looking at the standings and taking a look at the USL 2 results early in the season, and it was kind of like, when are these teams going to start playing?
I think it's a weather thing, but one of them plays indoors.
Yeah. So really?
Yeah. So I think it's a travel thing, and and unfortunately for them, because they're geographically located the furthest away from majority of the teams in our conference, teams aren't going to want to go up there and play one-offs.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because outside of the come and go group, we don't have the money to be able to be like, hey, let's travel to Canada twice.
Couple times. Yeah. Let's get a couple huge buses.
Yeah. No. Let's just suck down some Labatt's, eh?
Hey, let's do it. Kokanee. So the cool thing about this trip, and like you said, you'll see this in the result, that these guys get teams, they get the same team really in the same weekend, right? So they've played the same teams. Besides playing each other twice, they've also played Des Moines. They've both also played Peoria. So we're getting a good idea of their quality just from their results so far. Thunder Bay Chill has the better record of the two. They're 1-1-2. They beat Manitoba, and then they've lost to Des Moines. And then they drew Manitoba in their second game, and they drew Peoria on that trip. I would say they're probably the more dangerous of the two teams, but it could just mean that they played like Des Moines and Peoria first or second. It depends on kind of how that order goes, because when you look at FC Manitoba's record of no wins, 2 draws, 2 losses, those losses came to the Thunder, like I said, but also to Peoria, and it was like a thumper, like 4-1.
Yeah.
And then they drew Des Moines. They held Des Moines scoreless and drew them 0-0, and then they drew against the Thunder. So like us, not scoring a lot of goals, but it just might depend with these two teams, since we don't know a ton about them. It might these records just might reflect, like, did they get Peoria first or second? Did they get Des Moines first or second? Who knows? But guys, it's going to be a great weekend of Canadian soccer. Check out Twitter for game day details. Some people are going. Some people are making the trip. I see on Twitter, Le Professeur, who sounds like a Canadian Crows fan, is going to at least one of those games.
I heard that's French for the professor. Am I right? Did I nail it? Did I nail that one?
Probably. Yeah. So some supporters are going to be up there. Check out Twitter for game day details, whether you're going or you're not. But I'm sure there'll be a stream. I hope there's going to be a stream.
I think so. One of the clubs, I don't know which one it was. I think it might have been Thunder Bay. They had like a 7-year-old DJ at halftime.
Oh, did you say 7?
A 7, like a little kid DJ. And
That's
they had
cute.
And they had like picture. They put pictures of it, I think, on social, or someone found a picture of it and sent it to like one of the many Minneapolis City threads I'm on. And it was like this little kid who's like not even taller than the speakers, just like on the 1s and 2s, just like just spinning disc.
Yeah, man, blasting some of the Coco Melon hits.
Dude, I don't know, man. Probably at least Sandstorm. I mean, you have to think.
Well, let's get to the fun part of the night, man. Let's talk UPSL.
Yeah, so the club was hoping to go 3 for 3 on last Saturday night across all competitions. We already know we went 1-0-1 for the but on the night we did fall short. But this was the first time this summer where all 3 teams play on the same night, Nate. So which, if you look at the rosters, we didn't really have like blowback as a result of that, which I think goes down to solidifying the cores. I know the futures are a little bit different, but we started seeing some futures players pop up on the registry for the senior rosters, which we'll talk a little bit about in a second. But that was the match that the futures had was the capper on the evening, going up and taking on Austin Villa in Austin, Minnesota. The expansion side really has been a tale of two locations, I'll call it. When they're home, they're nearly untouchable. Yet on the road, they are not put near the same side or performances that they had, that was keeping them in the early part of the season, top of the division, or at the top to start the year. So this one went down scoreless, 0-0. So we did the gentleman's hat trick, win, loss, draw, for the club on Saturday. But what we saw in this one was the futures squad, a couple of firsts. It was the first time they got shut out all year. But it continued in a really impressive 1,000% record and save percentage record for goalkeeper Evan Siefkin. So he still has yet to be scored on in the UPSL.
That's crazy.
Yeah, right. I know. So and honestly, no disrespect to the senior level keepers, he's the one to look for in the future for sure. As far as maybe carrying the load between the sticks on the senior side in the not too distant future. So you heard it here first, folks. But it was, like I said, it was the first time that they weren't scored on, or they didn't score all season. They currently have the best goal differential average at 15, 24-5 against in the division. So it's a tough task for a team to shut out these Crows, or young Crows, mini Crows, whatever you want to call them. But this one went down basically 0-0 whole game until the final 15 minutes of the match, and saw the Crows throw literally the kitchen sink at Austin Villa, only to get a goal called back. And that goal would have secured a playoff berth. It would have put us within 2 points, or within 1 point of the league leaders in Flora, going into 2 left to play. So could have been a massive goal for the club. But it was called off. I didn't get to see why it was disallowed. It was a weird thing that was happening on the stream, or you couldn't quite see it. But anyways, didn't happen. And sometimes that happens in soccer. Get a goal disallowed. But it could have put the real pressure on league leaders Flora. But this is sometimes. It also saw a midfielder and Minnetonka's own Parker Flynn, the soon-to-be Gustavus University man, getting his second caution of the day for the Crows, and they're forced to go into the final few minutes, not only chasing a victory on the road, but down to 10 men for the second time this season. They went down to 10 men against Turbo FC. So didn't really get word about what happened, but I heard he got kicked off the ball and someone spit on him and he pushed a guy, and then he was the one who got nicked for the push. So you hate to hear that, but it's what happened.
The interesting thing about this, John, is like you said, that Austin Villa squad can be a tough nut to crack. They are very good. They are very good at home, but it is a type of adversity that these young Crows haven't really had to see yet, right? To have to, like you said, simultaneously chase that victory while walking the tightrope of not giving up the loss.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. But then you got the big white bear from Lakeville, and that you can kind of do that.
Yeah. But it's good to see that they're ready to go all in a game like this. That's encouraging. It's as we head into the playoffs for the UPSL, you and I know from last year, these teams that come out of the woodwork in the UPSL are unpredictable, and their quality is unpredictable. Their play style is unpredictable. So it's gonna be good for these kids to learn how to fight together in kind of a scoreless situation like this, to try to claw their way into a game and crack that egg. So
but this was not the only game for the futures that we had this week. Yeah, and we've seen this before, Nate. It's a crazy packed summer season in the UPSL, across the conference, across the board. Like, who was it? Valora had they're to date they played 9 games, but didn't they have 5 in the first week?
Yeah, it was like something like 3. Yeah, absolutely. It was so weird.
and that's been, I know, a difficult thing for our futures architect Jeremiah Johnson and the staff is not only managing like 17 to 20-year-olds, which is a task, but doing so with injuries, which is kind of happening across the club right now, but then also like just having weekend midweek, like that's a lot of games that you gotta sort out, and they've been doing a really great job of it. But they had the midweek tilt across town in Maple Grove against Maplebrook, and this one, Nate, had the old City versus Twin Stars feels to it, and I'll get into that in a second here. The fouls were harder, the chatter was getting a little trashier between the players, all the fun stuff that we like to see. There were some technical difficulties with the field location because of the fact that it was that hot ass day, and they ended up moving the time up to later, but then they had to play at a different location. And all like I said, all the Twin Stars feels. But much like the USL2 game where we had that 8 minutes of shutdown, this one had 4 minutes of shutdown for both squads. The Crows got on the board in the first in the 22nd minute by one of the bright spots in the future program, and we mentioned before, in Ramsey Uro-Kondo. Then he followed up again with another effort in the 30th minute, and that was where the 4 minutes basically happened, where Maplebrook shut off. Like, it was like they forgot how to play soccer. I watched the game. It was like, wow, they're all over the place, and Ramsey was able to get on the end of two really good balls and slot home 2 goals, and good for us. They shut off. And the Crows looked well on their way to securing a playoff berth until the mental valve for the Crows shut off this time for 4 minutes, and Maplebrook was able to get both goals back in the 50th and 57th minute. And now they're chasing. And it was like, it went from like a, yes, we're going to do this, to a, oh shit moment real quickly.
Yeah. John, you're not really kidding about this Ramsey kid, though. I mean,
yeah.
And end results of the half, or once we start, once we give up those 2 goals aside, you pointed him out to us on the show a week or 2 ago. I think he's really burst onto this future scene and carved out a spot for himself in the city system, much like you said. Evan Siefkin is potentially a player to watch for the future. The future coming out of the futures, imagine that. So I think so is Ramsey. And
yeah, absolutely.
There might be some news around him coming up a little quicker than you'd expect. That it's making this prophecy come true. But awesome to watch this kid.
We can just talk about now that Ramsey's put the work in, and he's gotten promoted to the senior group.
He's going to Canada.
I don't know if he is going to Canada. He might be, but with the injury bug we have right now, he might be going to Edor Nelson to help out the NPSL team. But or he's going to be, he's going to be there at the 2:00 game. We're going to ask him to stick around for the 6:00 game. Who knows? But no, he's started training more with the senior group, and it's great to see. It's why we're doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we saw it last year with MC2, and how those kids that were able to make an impact got called up late in the season for the NPSL squad. And we're seeing it again, that playing at this high level really does galvanize the right kind of player, and they can truly become the future of Minneapolis City. So that's why I love this UPSL squad and this futures idea, and to see it come to fruition now for the second year in a row has been really rewarding.
Yep. Well, we still have more soccer to talk about again.
Oh yeah, let's talk about the second half of this game.
So the final half hour was even more chippy and even more trash talkier than the first half. Lots of cheddar getting thrown out by the referee. Quite a few yellow cards being tossed around. Excuse me, all over the place. No red cards. But good. Now you're looking at a scenario where it's 2-2. You're going into the final 45 minutes of a must-win game because you got Dakota Young Stars breathing down your neck. Getting a 1 point result in a draw in their matchup earlier in the day. So you're looking at, the potential of losing your foothold in that playoff spot. So even more adversity kind of being thrown at these young boys. But they fought back, which was great. They've been doing it all summer. Aside for the game in Austin where they did fight back and the goal disallowed. This time, They took all the punches, but moved forward for that knockout blow. And at the death, a free kick entered the box, and literally there was everyone in there. Like it was like just why not? It's there. We were 3 minutes into stoppage time. 3 minutes were indicated. Might as well throw everybody in there. Well, the ball got kind of low driven into the box. A Maplebrook defender whiffed. Ball kind of bounced around, and Slim Shady, who was lurking at the top of the box, kind of popped up perfect for him, just in his range, and he hit it one time. Ball goes in the back of the net. Whistle follows, like literally last kick of the game. And you know, then you basically, with that goal, you secure the playoff spot. And now the Crows have their fingers crossed that on the final day of the league season, this Saturday, they take care of business against bottom feeders Abusa FC, who's just having a shocker after winning their first game of the season, and then subsequently losing everyone after that, and really just giving up goals to the tune of 21 this season.
Wow.
We face them at home, which it's the UPSL. You never know who's going to show up. And then Austin Villa travels to Vlora. And can you get the Austin Villa on the last game of the season that says, hey, you know what? We'll just go up there and play our final game against the league leaders and see what we can do. And man, if they get that result and we get ours, you're looking at the first place team, Minneapolis City, winning another trophy for the club in a regular season trophy in the UPSL in its second season in the conference, and then getting that number one spot in the playoffs, which would be absolutely great.
That's right, John. That defeat that we handed Dakota on the road has turned out to be the dagger in the heart of their playoff hopes. They were not able to find the win that they needed against Vlora to leapfrog us in the standings, but really that might have been beneficial to us anyway, because then we would have, anyway, who knows how that would have worked. But I'm sure there are other realities where that is playing out.
And they have to go to Rochester, which has been tough to beat in at home traditionally. So they have some they could maybe, nick one from Rochester, but hopefully Rochester does his job for us. That'd be great. But then again, it's the tale of traveling in this division. Like, they're the one team that has to travel the furthest, and sometimes they don't travel well. But man, wouldn't that be great? Last game of the season to see that happen.
That absolutely would. So 1 week, John, 2 big results for City. Who were your standouts in this last week, or last week of competition, I should say?
Really easy. Ramsey getting the brace in a much needed brace, which basically had all the storylines of maybe a blowout win, and then needing those 2 goals to keep your playoff hopes alive. And then obviously Moo too. I think we've talked about Moo a bit, and I think Moo is right there in between being able to elevate himself and perform with the senior roster and not quite being ready yet. He's done everything he's been asked of Coach Jeremiah Johnson. He's performed. He's moved all over the pitch. He's played at forward. He's played on the wing. He's played in the back. He's done whatever he's been asked to do, and I think he's just on the cusp of being in that conversation with players like Ramsey, like Evan, that might be able to make that jump into the senior side. But those 2 for sure were my standouts.
Rad. Well, up next, John, like you mentioned, is Abusa FC, winners of their first game, losers of all the rest. I think
they got a draw. They got a draw in there.
They did. We can't predict everything, but if we had to, this would have been the game we wanted to close out the season, letting the team coast to hopefully a comfortable victory. But that's why you play the game. You never know what they're going to show up with, you never know what they're going to show up with. Maybe they'll stop bleeding goals, and maybe we will have a tougher time at it. But I think it's important for all fans to come on down to the Nelly. Like we said, another doubleheader night, just like we had at McKnight, but this time it is at the friendly home confines of the Nelly. Game starts at 2 p.m. And these futures games are free. So just come on in and watch what is the future of Minneapolis City, hopefully clinch a playoff spot in the UPSL Midwest West. There might be a stream So you can check that out too. Watch Twitter for details.
Yeah, I'm excited because if there is a stream, it's going to be you and I on the hot mic getting the band back together.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I hope there is.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to this week's show, folks. And thank you to our wonderful show sponsor, footballstadiumprints.com. If you like cool soccer shit, just go to footballstadiumprints.com. Mugs, t-shirts, prints. They've got some sales running right now. You can use the code CROWS10 for an additional 10% off of everything you purchase. And remember, all U.S. orders ship right from the States, so there's no pesky international shipping charges. Maybe you order it from Canada while you're on that trip. Maybe they ship it to Canada. You'll be there for 3 days. Who knows? But as a reminder, Minneapolis City is a 501c3, so consider beefing up that tax-deductible donation part of your taxes ahead of next year's charitable gift giving to the club that you definitely need to do. And if you're listening and you're interested in getting a hold of us, no one has done it so far this year. So
yeah, weird.
We're getting close. So why not do it? You can hit the club through Twitter at MPLS City SC. I know Dan right now is probably just chomping at the bit to hear people complain about the club. So go ahead and do it. Or you can go through the show at the People's Pitch via email, mcsepodcast@gmail.com. I check it every day and we still don't get any email. So please do ask us some questions. So that's all for this week's show, folks. I am John. That has been Nate. Get on out to the Nelly this Saturday for another city doubleheader with the Futures going at 2 and the NPSL side going at 6 against league leaders, Med City. And as always, you got